I don't know what this video is about. I'm just desperately tossing things into the algorithm in hopes that someday somebody out there will be like, whoa, I think this guy has it more figured out than anybody else. I'm pretty sure I do. I look at the best people, and all this stuff is either not as universally applicable, or it's just not as simple, or not as accurate. Because all of my thought processes are informed by the behavior of water. The way that my mind meets reality is full, complete, totalizing. It creates space for every possible thing. So the way that I perceive things, like water, has room for every possible thing you could do on the surface. It has room for every possible thing that could be made into an object, right? Pulled underwater into consciousness. A two-dimensional object on the surface, if it's pulled underwater into consciousness, it becomes a real object. All of this stuff on the surface is just information, but if it goes down into consciousness, like into silence, water is synonymous with silence, water is synonymous with looking, then it becomes a real thing in the consciousness, right? And that's what our bodies are they are bubbles. They are bubbles in consciousness. And when you die and that bubble breaks, the bubble becomes one with the surface again, and you can't really say it's an object. It's more of an idea or an information pattern. But if an information pattern can be pulled under, it becomes a thing or a body, an object. And so yeah, everything that I do, like, I'm not doing poi, I'm not doing martial arts, I'm not doing boxing, I'm not doing philosophy, I'm not doing any of that. This is all breathing technique. Every single thing that I'm doing is breathing technique. And by breathing, I mean it's changing, like, the depth that I am in the breath from a surface level to a superficial level to a more deep level, or like how are you running into it at any point. Like, this is the exact same thing as what I'm doing when I'm breathing, right? And I practice the exact same thing when I breathe. And so this level of skill, it comes, like, whatever activity I do, I'm like roughly right at this level. It's not like pro or anything, but if I get up and kick the soccer ball or do the basketball or do any of the other stuff, or like dance, it's all just breathing. Right? So here, I'll do a breath. This is what I would usually do on the couch or on the cushion, right? Or if I was to, for like an isolation or whatever, it'd be cool to add weight, but you can just add, I guess, tension. And here, I'm just trying to desaturate the blood oxygen through a combination of effort and stillness on my part. So the kind of effort of the legs, or the effort of the body to exist. So I put myself into a posture where it just takes more effort for me to exist in that posture. So it tends to want to draw the oxygen out of the blood, right? So it wants to desaturate. So if I combine that with stillness, it'll start to desaturate. And then I just stay there at that level until like all the blood in my body is at 90%. For a couple of minutes. You know, up to like, if I'm trying to become like the best in the world, it's something like 45, 50 minutes. And that's you know, that's just traditional horse stance training. And if you focus really hard at anything, it'll draw you down into the moment even more. And if you combine that with stillness of like, I'm not going to destroy that effort or that activity with my breath by breathing in, right? I use all the energy in the blood. The deoxygenated blood comes by my lungs, and I just like don't really screw it up. So I don't send it back up to 100. I just sit there and I try and let it just remain what it is as it goes by. Not drop it down, but not lift it up. So then the blood oxygen content will be like, you know, 70 to 80, 80 to 90. And so that means that my effort in my existence becomes continuous between, you know, 80 and 90% oxygen instead of 100%. I'm popped up out of the effort. And it's uncomfortable. It's either physically unpleasant or psychologically unpleasant. Dangerous. Even if you're just sitting on the couch and you do this, you can have insights that'll destroy your life. As the body becomes more coherent, you can just be sitting on the couch and you'll realize like some catastrophically wrong-headed thing about yourself. Like the undoing or like if you actually respond to it, it's just so it's almost like sitting on the couch is a little dangerous. If you just do it with like exercise or you do it with something that's just innately unpleasant, then you often don't have to directly respond to the life-destroying information. You can just keep going, and oftentimes there'll be a better solution for the thing that's a problem, or a thing that's inauthentic or whatever. And so doing it with like intense exercise, like this is just hard, or if I was doing it with like weights, all of that suffering goes into the body. Whereas if you just kind of do it on the cushion or just do it with the mind, all that suffering, like you'll start to rearrange. You'll start to rearrange the environment around you. Okay, so if this is like part of awakening is you'll be like, oh, I see how to improve things, and then at that point, like that's when you're at your absolute most destructive potential. So especially if you have any like worldly power or resources, that's when things get like absolutely unhinged. Yeah, so when you have an awakening, like a mental, so when you have an awakening and it's mental, so like when you realize that like when you push the mind towards truth, the mind is your environment, and so when you do that, you'll start to correct your environment. So if you push the mind very deep into truth, the environmental corrections that you need to make are like on the level of the president or the Galactic Council or the, you know, at very least city council. And so then that's when you become an activist. An activist is people that have had like very deep awakenings of the mind. That type of awakening and that kind of awareness causes you to do the self-improvement game on everything else around you, on your environment, to the depth that it's around you. If you awaken to the body or to the emotions, like if you awaken to the emotional level, you'll start to try and improve at the relational level. So how it feels when you're around other people. And then if you awaken into the body, then you'll start to try and feel how that connection between the mind and the body becomes like the little autistic thing. And that one is pretty solid. Like that's the reliable one that, like, if you find an insurmountable problem at the mental or the emotional level, the physical one doesn't cause, there's no, like, so if you're focused on the relational level, a positive we-space relationship might cause you to have a good relationship with a psychopathic person at the governmental level or at the personal level or at the relational level. Like if you're worried about that we-space feeling good and become like a people pleaser, you'll have these good relationships with non-existent things. It's basically masturbation of various sorts, but actually working with, in cohort with the psychopath. So that's how different cult leaders and stuff pop up, is people that are addicted to relational health. Like if that person offers them relational health, then you're suddenly in a psychopathic cult. So that's everything from political leaders to all sorts of stuff. And then the kind of exercise level. Or at the body field level, that's just beingness, and that can pretty much weather anything. So it's hard to get people out of that into like a totalizing wholeness of their all important. And so when they're all going, it looks basically like sacramental movement. There's like when the body, heart, and mind is all active, then you're engaging in sacramental behavior, which is the integration and utilization of like the whole being. Where there's like the disembodied Luciferic thing, if I'm going to change the entire world, I understand how to alter the Council of Neptune to come to our aid. Like if you're going like real deep, I know how to make the government more efficient. Everybody just needs to love each other. Like love bad things, love everything, just love everything, love imaginary things. You know, there's nothing to do about anything, and I don't have any beliefs, and there's no inherent meaning besides loving kindness. And this is the base layer of truth right here. Just be business now, man.